Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championship. We're just about to start the championship round in ladies play. 8 teams out here that have advanced to the championship pool. We'll explain a little bit how they got here after and how this system works, because it's a little bit difficult to understand. And that might be a little bit of a stretch. Maybe it's a lot difficult to understand, but I think we have it figured out now. We actually know who's playing and what's going on. So this afternoon we have Ontario versus Northern Ontario, a battle of the province of Ontario. Both teams in this event are within one. Actually, all 8 teams out here are within one of having the same record. We have nobody undefeated and nobody with a record worse than 3-2. So in this game we have Ontario with Dunn skipping at 4-1, and Northern Ontario with Marianchuk skipping, but we'll tell you what's going on there in a second, with a record of 3-2. On the Clark team, the second stone actually, Saarimaki is going to call the game, but she will throw second stone. She has an injury and she's not able to sweep and go up and down the sheet. But good news is Marianchuk skipped Marion. I spoke to Marion before the game, and she says she's going to disprove the theory that skips cannot sweep. So we'll check that out today, and we'll see if she's actually right in that theory. Ontario with the hammer here, by virtue of a better record, I assume. So we're ready to go. Lead Barb Ward for Northern Ontario. Start this one off. Expect to see the teams be a little cautious the first end or two. I say that, but I haven't seen that yet. I've only done a couple games, and so far they've been pretty aggressive. So we'll see how it goes. Facility here at the Glooscap Curling Club in Kentville looks terrific. The ice at both rinks, I think, is very close to the same. Teams don't seem to be having any trouble going back and forth as far as draw weight and curl goes. Same ice maker, Tony Sterling Tony Sterling is also co-chair of this event, makes the ice of both clubs. Does a terrific job. Northern Ontario's first rock slips in the rings. So Ontario's lead. Fran Todd will be asked to remove that rock. Good crowds here at the curling club, both curling clubs, and draws here today at Glooscap this afternoon, and final draw this evening at 7, and a draw also in Wolfville tonight at 7 o'clock. My name is Jim Nix, and proud to be here with Beltline TV1 bringing you this broadcast. So a successful hit by the Ontario squad. Barb Ward, another takeout. Sweepers indicating maybe just a little down for weight. That might not be a bad thing. It has to curl a little bit. Good shot. Check some good play here today. These will be 8 good curling teams. Make it the championship round. You had to play well for sure. So we would expect to see some good competition. We will give you the rundown of the other games, but real quick, we will tell you that Team Nova Scotia, skipped by Mark Cutcliffe, did make the championship round. The record of 3-2, and they are on the ice taking on Karen Lapine of BC right beside us, so we will be able to keep you updated on the results of that game. Fran Todd threw this one a little wide. One sweeper's off it already. Turning around, coming back. And she just gets a little piece. Never a good sign when your sweepers are walking away or turning around and come back towards you. When the rock's still going down the sheet, that usually indicates it's not going to be successful. So Karen Saarimaki now will come down to the hack and throw her shots. A stick curler. We have a number of stick curlers in this event. If you've tried stick curling, I mentioned this morning, it's great. It's kept a lot of people in the game, brought a lot of people into the game that at an older age, or a more advanced age, that never played, and it's wonderful. But I've had to play with a stick for the last 4 weeks, and just because of a little injury, and it's not nearly as easy as it looks. Pretty good shot there, though. Over curl a little bit. But a pretty good rock. Nice weight. That's the hard part for me, was trying to figure out how hard to throw it. Takeouts don't seem to be too much trouble throwing with a stick, but the weight is another thing. So Victoria Marianchuk for Ontario. There's this one, hand in the air, indicating she's got lots of weight, and she should be fine. Probably going to roll out, and does. That removes the shot stone. That was plan A. early in the game, you just, it's nice to stay on everything and make everything well, but, as long as you remove rocks and you keep things pretty basic, you're never going to get in a lot of trouble, and you should be okay. So Karen Saarimaki delivers her second stone. And this one looks pretty good, just maybe a little light if they're trying to come around. I haven't been to the Glooscap Curling Club in a while, and this is my first game in this event, so it'll take me a little while to get a little sense on the speed. And this is just a little rub, almost a great shot. Still a decent shot, but could have almost been a great shot. Sweepers work pretty hard, though. Only do so much when you're sweeping. So Karen will make her way down to start calling the game again. In the meantime, Marianchuk delivers her second one. They're on it hard early, which would indicate probably a little narrow. This one looks like it's going to be on the front red, but maybe not yet. Wow, he snuck that by. That was some great sweeping on that one. That looked like it was going to be on the guard all the way down the sheet. A good hit, little roll, rolled open, but they'll take it. So the third for Northern Ontario, Bev Junnila, will deliver this one. Out turn hit. Just hopefully hit and stay, and force Ontario will play a hit. Get this one on the way, and sweepers on again fairly early. Gonna have to go hard. Got to go hard to get it by the top red one. I think they're going to make it. And they do. Good sweeping job. A little bit of an inside roll. Great shot. So an out-turn double. It's a call here. Certainly make the one in the house go away, and hopefully both them. Carol Thompson. Third for Team Ontario. Most of the ladies on this Ontario team have certainly played at national level before. We will give you a little bit of a history on who they are and what they played in as we move along. But for now, we'll just follow this end along. So she only gets one. She only gets the high one. Leaves Northern Ontario a chance to get a second rock in the house. Going to play the come around. Looks like about 3.5, probably 4 feet ice. That's a pretty nice curl. And pretty much identical to what I saw at the other club for a couple draws. So it's nice to see. We played down here last year in the Nova Scotia Intermediate Championships at the end of the year, and the ice was probably the best ice that everybody played on all year, so it was great. This is a good looking shot. It does have to move a little more. See just the one sweeper working on it a little bit, and even then not super hard because it does have enough weight. So perfect weight, just either a little wide or a little too much ice. And Dunn will ask Carol Thompson to play the hit here. Hopefully maybe roll behind the red guard, not guard, the red rock at the top of the 12-foot really. Carol's got this one on the way. It looks a little bit on the outside. Should come up. It's not huge weight, so it should be good. Makes the hit, and will she stay? Yeah, she'll stay out in the wings. Good shot. His shot rocks, so you will see Northern Ontario make a play on it. It's just a matter of the turn. So this will be Marion Clark. Normally the skip of the team, and still the skip of the team, but just not calling the game today. She recovered from her sweeping duties. Let's wait. I'll get on it early. Looks like pretty firm weight, but she is curling. Gonna have to go hard. Really need to make sure they hit it. It came off it for a second. I'm not sure why. Maybe they just thought they'd get a little roll, but rolled out, but did remove it. So that's Successful effort, I will call that, in the first end. A little later on, maybe not quite so much, but early in the game like this, just making it go away is pretty good. And Dunn now with the open hit, in-turn hit, right down the center line basically, and see how she gets along. Every lady on the Women's Ontario team does curl a different curling club, actually. They're all 4 of them, and 4 of them play at different clubs. You don't have to be the same member or a member of the same club, obviously, to play in this event. Some events you do, some events you don't. Travelers Championship, you have to be members of the same club. Most other events now, you can just be a member of the provincial of a club that's affiliated with your province that you live in, your provincial association, and you're fine. And Dunn with the delivery. Maybe just a little tight out of her hand, but the girls are on it. Should have enough weight to hold it. Have to go fairly hard. Come off for a second. They're going to try to make that roll behind the corner. Could make it. Might be really close. That's a great shot. First end, that's a terrific shot. Really puts Northern Ontario in a tough spot here because it's not an easy hit. You can see there on the screen, she's calling an out-turn hit, taking probably 10 inches ice, 8-10 inches ice, and you got to be really careful. This one curls up just a hair too much, and you're going to give Ontario a draw for 3. Should be disaster here in the first end. So Marion Clark, skip of Team Northern Ontario, has got it on the way, and looks like she got out to the broom well, and if it curls a little bit, she'll be okay. Needs to come up a little, though. Gets a piece. Maybe enough. No, it won't be enough to get it out. So bad luck for Team Northern Ontario, and a great shot by Ann Dunn to set it up, though. So Ontario with a draw for 2 here in the first end. The 2016 Canadian Masters Championship here in Kings County, Nova Scotia, hosted by the Kentville Glooscap Curling Club and the Wolfville Curling Club and the towns. Great cooperation amongst the groups, and they managed to put together a great championship. They had a big party last night. They good big Kaylee, and from what I understand, it was a very good time. Lots of fun had by all. So Ann Dunn now with the draw for 2 here in the first end. Looks like they might have to sweep a little bit to me. You've got to go real hard now. Needs to get to the 12-foot. Carol Thompson coming out to help out. And I think between them all, if they don't knock each other over, they'll make it. And they did. So a good shot for Ann Dunn. Team Ontario jumps out to an early 2-0 lead here. Championship round action of the ladies division in the 2016 Canadian Masters. So earlier we just did tell you that how teams got here. So basically there were 2 pools of 7 teams. Or not 7 teams, 6 teams I guess. So they did play a round robin within the pool. Top 4 teams from each pool moved on to this round. And in this round, you play the 3 teams that you didn't play before. So if you were in Pool A, you play the 4 teams, I might have said 3, sorry, the 4 teams from Pool B that made the playoff round, the championship round. If you're in Pool B, you play the 4 teams from Pool A that are in the championship round. At the end of that, they'll add it all up, and you'll have 4 teams that will make it to the playoff round on the weekend. So it didn't sound quite as difficult as it feels sometimes, but they've all made it here. So as I said, all these teams 4-1 or 3-2. Well deserved of their spot here in the playoff round. And we move to the first rock in the second end. Lead Fran Todd for Ontario. Probably going to put this one in the house, I would imagine. And they would do. Slide into the top of the 4-foot's a good spot for this. Preferably not the back of the 4-foot. Just a tiny little bit heavy. Pretty good shot though. Northern Ontario playing the hit. You could leave this and throw up a corner guard. It is at the back of the house, so it's not one that's totally hurting you. But usually teams will be a little bit defensive if it's in that 4-foot area. If that had slid maybe to the back of the 8-foot, they probably would have ignored it and thrown up a corner guard, or maybe played a freeze if they weren't totally comfortable with the guard approach. But probably wouldn't be hitting it. In this case, it's just a little bit too good. And a successful hit and stay. Lead Barbara Ward of Northern Ontario delivering that shot. Fran Todd now back in the hack for Ontario, playing a hit as well. Fran curls out of the Dixie Curling Club in Ontario. She has participated in 3 Scotties and back in 84, 89, 03, and 4 Canadian Seniors Curling Championships as well. This one's on the way, and Sweeper's just cleaning it, and it should be fine. And it'll hit and stay pretty much right on the button. So Karen Saarimaki puts the broom down for another takeout. You happen to see the scoreboards in our picture today, and if you're wondering, because few curling clubs in the province have a baseball type scoreboard that we refer to as, or national championship type scoreboard, but here at Glooscap they do. So you will notice in the first end that Ontario got 2, and the black 2 is under the red 1 instead of the other way around. A little easier for the non-curler to understand. Explaining the scoreboard sometimes in curling is harder than teaching somebody to curl. So we got another takeout attempt coming by Ontario. Northern Ontario rolled over into the 12-foot. And Victoria Marianchuk delivering the in-turn takeout. Playing the big curl. This should curl quite a bit. Girls working on it. And a good hit and stick. So both teams playing well. Just one roll, the difference in the first end, really. One perfect roll by Skip and Dunn, setting up the 2. Saarimaki delivering the out-turn hit with the stick. See, they've it's interesting, the development of stick curling over the last, I don't know, probably quite a few years now. It feels like only very few, but it's probably been 10 to 15 years now for stick curling, and you will see sticks now that are sort of combination sticks, broom and a stick. You'll see all kinds of variations. You'll see extended sticks, and you see just about everything. Not really a lot of rules governing the stick. It just have to be able to get it on the handle and throw it, basically. So the in-turn coming down for Marianchuk. Try to hit this and stay again. Sweeper's just sweeping a little bit, not too much. And a good shot. Marion Clark asking for the out-turn hit. Oh, Saarimaki, a little short delivery on that one. Looks like she has no problem. Sweeper's going at it, just trying to make it curl a little bit here. And not quite going to do it, but she does remove the shot stone. So an open house for Ontario. We'll see what Ann Dunn decides to do. And she's going to call a draw. Just see where she goes here. A little bit of a different call. I think she signaled into both the 8-foot area on the left-hand side of the monitor as we look at it. And a lot of times if you don't have a hammer, you do throw this draw, but you usually go to the center of the sheet. So if you ever get a miss, you can play the guard and have a good chance of stealing one. I guess that's where she ended up anyways. I guess maybe she just originally thought she'd throw it to the wings and then said, well, go to the button. I just thought she didn't have a lot of ice. The ice not curling too awful much there, but a perfect shot. Quick update across the board here on sheet 1. 2 teams that were 3-2 in the original part of the round robin. Quebec jumps out to a 2-0 lead over New Brunswick. On sheet 2, we have Saskatchewan getting 2 in the first end over Manitoba. Manitoba 4-1, tied with Ann Dunn in the original round robin. So Good game there, and over on sheet 4, Nova Scotia and BC are blank the first end, and no score there. So we're back at a rollout here, and open house for Team Ontario once again. And I would imagine basically the same shots. You might try to move it around a little bit just to make it a little bit tougher so the team doesn't just get to zone in on the exact same shot all the time. Carol Thompson, you watch Carol throw, and that's about as good a delivery as you can have at any age, 15, 50, or 60 or older. That was a really nice slide, great delivery. Girl's working hard on it. I think she's going to be okay, but they're going to have to go. Keep it moving, great sweeping. Good sweeping going on here. And she's going to be in the rings and in good spot. So you'll force Northern Ontario to play another hit. Have Junnila delivers this one, makes the perfect hit and stay. So team's not missing much here. It's been a fairly open and fairly simple game so far, but been played very well. As we said, just a one unlucky break for Northern Ontario in the first end, and good shot by Ontario. So that's what it comes down to sometimes. It's just that little tiny bit here and there, and that's what we had in the first end, and not much happening here. So Northern Ontario will probably hope to blank this end. Move to the third end and retain the hammer. Try to get something going. I don't think they'll wait too much longer to start to put a little bit of pressure on the Ontario team. It doesn't look like you're going to get many misses from them if you're just going to go up and down the sheet. So they are going to have to work a little bit. So Ann Dunn in the hack. Seen Ann play before. Another person with a really good solid delivery. Lets it go a little earlier, but works. I guess I missed a rock here somewhere. He's playing the hit, playing pretty firm hit. And she hits it on the nose. Making it look easy here, Canadian Masters. I have to roll a little bit with this one to get it on the rings. Not much, just a little tiny bit on the over curl side. Skip Marion Clark. We got a little unlucky in that first end. Threw a heck of a shot in there in the last one. One that was kind of tucked in behind a corner guard, but hit it, just didn't have enough to move it out. So this one's going to roll out as well, but not the end of the world for sure. Does roll out. Ontario now will try to put it right in the middle, right on the button basically, and make Northern Ontario work harder to get the roll out on this attempt to blank shot that will be coming here in a minute. You want to make sure you get this one on the circles, though. Make sure that they do have to work hard to get the blank in. And done, out turn draw. This one looks fine. And that does the job for Ontario. We're in the center, so a difficult blank attempt here for Skip Marion Clark. She has to roll several feet to get it out of the rings, get the shooter out of the rings, and you know that's not an easy task. Has to throw some weight. So she gets along here. On its way. Gave it a little extra with the arm, and that should be fine. Girl's getting on it. And that's a heck of a shot. That was not an easy blank, and Marion made it look pretty darn easy. So after 2 ends of play, 2-1, 2-0 Ontario, as Northern Ontario holds on to the hammer. We will tell you that Bell Alliance is certainly proud to be the official broadcaster for the Kings County 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships here in Kentville and Wolfville. Kings County, Nova Scotia, a beautiful place. If summer ever comes, but I think it's on its way. We have no snow left, so it's probably not far. Sorry, I have a little tickle today in my throat. Bell Alliance, more to love with fiber op. So game moving right along. Girls don't take long to play. Found that this morning too. They move the game right along. In a game like this too, where there hasn't been a whole lot of auction play, it does make it a little bit easier to save a little time early, and you probably need that time later. Always a good thing. So Ontario throws in the 4-foot, and Northern Ontario says, okay, that's enough, time to play. We're going to throw up the corner guard and try to work at getting our 2 and get back tied up here. Going up for lead Barb award. And a perfect corner guard it is. So good shot by Barbara. Ontario will throw a little short guard. Might be top 8, might be just short of the rings. Somewhere in that vicinity is good. You can see the crowd kind of gathering a little bit behind the glass. Pretty good crowd for Thursday afternoon. Expect this evening we'll have a bigger crowd as more and more people are off work and can come down and take the games in. It's only $5 a day here for curling games, so it's pretty cheap entertainment. $20 buys you a full pass if you're thinking you're going to come around for the whole rest of the event. Good shot there. Pretty much have to play a hit now. It's early enough in the game you can't afford to be too aggressive. Ontario trying to make the hit and roll behind the corner guard. Need to stay here. You don't want Ontario being able to peel that guard off. This one looks pretty good. If it curls enough to stay, I think it might roll out. And it does. And Dunn just making sure. So now you see Dunn go out, and Team Ontario going to peel the corner guard. Very defensive move, but not an unexpected move with a 2-0 lead for sure. It's just a long way to go in an end to play the peels. The only thing I find that the teams that are here this week, certainly the ladies teams, haven't done a lot of men's games yet. It's hard to throw that kind of weight, and you can see here that Marianchuk is not going to make contact with this. That's a hard game to play if you haven't got a team that can throw a lot of weight on a regular basis. It's very difficult to throw average takeout weight and make those peels 3 or 4 or 5 times in an end. So Northern Ontario now, chance to remove that. And they're just trying to decide on the turn. I actually think this shot's easier on the in turn, but they might have a preference, and that's fine. Saarimaki is going to throw the out turn. So they'll try to make the roll on the over curl. It's just always a little bit difficult because they're always going away from you, and it's hard to know what to do with the sweeping. So I guess they're going to just hit this and try to stay or roll a little bit to the outside. They didn't really even try to make this on the inside, so maybe that was the plan all along. It's not a bad idea. That was a tough roll. You had to make 5-foot roll to get behind that corner guard, and you would have been deep. So Ontario will play the hit. In turn hit this time. Victoria Marianchuk. This delivery, this is going to have to curl a little bit. Pretty close to missing it, but I think she's going to be okay, and she is. So an opportunity now for Northern Ontario to duck around that corner guard and see if they can make something happen this end. Indications from Karen are that it's heavy. She's down at the other end holding her hands up, which would make you feel that it's heavy. Usually the thrower has a pretty good idea. So when they do that, you can, not too often they're going to be wrong. This was a great looking shot of it. Had it just been 6 or 8 feet lighter, perfect line, it's just going to find its way through. Maybe. That's a great shot there. Thank Chuck in the booth for giving us that one. It looks like it's out. And I think it probably is. And Dunn's going to play the peel on the corner again. See if she have a little better success this time. And she's going to go in turn instead of the out turn. Nothing wrong. It doesn't really matter which turn. You just pick one and go. If you have a player that loves to throw the in turn or throws the in turn better, then throw the in turn. If there's no preference on this shot, I might go the other way just so I could roll into the rings. It's hard to roll into the rings on this shot. This one has to come up, though. This could actually touch it and move it into the circles, which wouldn't be good for Ontario. Will it have enough to get it out? I'm thinking it's not. So a big break for Team Northern Ontario, as Ontario helps them out. Well, you know, they're kind of the same province, so they should help themselves out, help each other out a little bit as they go. But a chance to split the house here and a really good opportunity for Northern Ontario to pick up a couple. With only 4 rocks to come. 4 rocks for Northern Ontario. You can make this shot, put it in the house, and make 3 takeouts, and you'll have your 2 points and tie this one up. So Bev Junnila playing this one. This looks pretty good. The girls make you think it's a little bit heavy, but I don't think it is. It's going to be pretty close. Like to be right on the tee line. That's perfect. If you're one of those people who likes to score at home, whatever system you're using, they get top marks for that one. That was about as good as you can throw it. Absolutely perfectly even with the other one. In the house, great shot. Ontario will have to be a little careful here. There is a possibility of jamming this on the back, and all of a sudden Northern Ontario could have a chance at 3. Right now it looks like they should have a decent opportunity to score there too, but you should be able to get out of this with no worse than a 2. Sweepers on this a little bit. Oh, this one's starting to go a little bit. I think she's going to be fine. She gets it. Will she roll out? No, she'll stay. That's a good shot. Go Thompson avoided the back one and has shot rock. Nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, the girls are going to have to go real hard in this one. This one's really curling. She's going to get a piece. She will. Maybe it might get held, might stop here, and it does. Well, a huge break for Northern Ontario. That was really going to be a case of do end or gone, and the little catcher at the back saved them, and all of a sudden they're sitting 2. So they'll take it. You need the odd break along the way, and that's a nice little break here in the 3rd end of this game. So the out-turn hit for Skip Dunn. She'll try to hit this and roll in towards the rock at the back of the 12-foot. Try to set up maybe a double on the next shot with a little bit of luck, or a rollout. You'd like to get over there where a rollout's more of a possibility for sure. So Ann Dunn delivers the out-turn. Solid slide. It's on its way, but they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go real hard. close to missing this. She'll hit it, and she does. So great sweeping. Fran worked hard to hold that one, and they did. But Northern Ontario, again, with now a chance to throw 2 good shots and get their 2 and tie this game up. Need to make sure you get this one in the house. Ideally, it'd be T-line somewhere around the T-line, or even behind the T-line would be fine. Well away from the other stone, which it will be for sure, just by virtue of the fact that throwing an intern down the center line, so it's definitely going to curl. Skip Marion Clark. This looks okay. Girls are sweeping a little bit, but they sure aren't going real hard. Like to get this back, but if you're not, if you want to leave it really, really high, that's okay too. That's a good shot. Would have probably tried a little harder to take it back a little bit more, just to stop any roll in front of my own or anything like that, but what the heck, that's pretty darn good. Have to be pretty unlucky to have this one cause you too much trouble when it's done. Turn hit for Dunn. Same shot she just played, really. Just about identical. This one got away from her a little bit, but I'm sure this will be better. She'll probably throw this a little bit harder. And no sweeping going on here, so that would probably tell me she's got a little extra weight, or she might have been just a little tiny bit on the high side. But it's going to be fine. Might roll out. And it does. You can tell there, just that little extra weight that Ann added, that maybe she thought the last one started to curl just because she was down a little bit. Probably didn't really need a whole lot more weight, but anyway, better to be safe with a 2-0 lead. You certainly don't want to be sliding by that one and giving up a draw for 3. It's Northern Ontario with a draw for 2, though. Let's get Marion Clark, having just thrown the draw, will travel down the same path. Usually that's the choice. If you have their druthers and you've just thrown one down a path, why not play the exact same path? Looks maybe a little bit lighter, but they should be able to get it there. Going to have to go a little bit. Certainly not going to hurt it, so you can kind of come onto it as hard as you can. Need to get it there, and they shouldn't have any trouble as it slides into the 12-foot with about 2 feet to spare. So great shot. 2 Northern Ontario points go up on the board in the third end here, and we have a 2-2 tie after 3 ends of play here at the Canadian Masters. 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters. Should mention too that it takes a lot of sponsors to pull this thing off, put on an event like this, and they have some great ones here for this event. And they have at the diamond level, certainly the municipality of the County of Kings. Gold level, we have the town of Kentville and the town of Wolfville and the village of New Minas, pretty much encompassing this whole area in the valley. And silver level sponsors the Old Orchard Inn, Irving, the home of the Big Stop and great food, and Kentville and Wolfville Independent Grocers. We have a number of bronze medal sponsors as well that we might be able to run through later, but for now, we'll move to the fourth end, and a pretty hard-fought game here. The Glooscap Curling Club. We'll update while we're at it. We've got New Brunswick came back with 3 in the second end against Quebec, so a 3-2 lead New Brunswick after 2. Manitoba tied it up in their second end of their game, and they're tied at 2. And Nova Scotia jumped out to a 2-0 lead on sheet 4 over British Columbia. I have to say that one a little lower because I'm sitting beside some BC fans here, so I can't shout that one out. Long way to go, though, in all these games. I expect pretty much hard-fought battles. By the looks of these teams, they all look very, very even. The scores are pretty even, and going to be some great curling over these next 4 draws. So rock, that would be a pretty nice one for the draw to the button. Smack dab on the button. Ontario looked to remove it. A little too good to leave, that one. I came into the rink about an hour and a half ago, and curlers never can get enough curling. The Canada-Norway game was on the television. I actually caught the end of that this morning when it was on really crazy early. But had a good crowd there watching the end of it. successful end as it was for Team Canada. So we've got an in-turn takeout coming for Northern Ontario, and a little bit of a defensive end here, and it's going to be up to Ontario. Northern Ontario basically taking the approach. Well, we've tied this up now. Let's make Ontario make the move. If they want to score two, they're going to have to be the initiators. A lot of leaning going on. This one's curling pretty hard. And will she hang on and get a piece? And she does get just enough to get it out. Good shot. A little scary there for Victoria. Victoria. Was it Victoria that threw that? No, I get the wrong team here. Barb, anyway, it was a great shot. She had the lean on. Sometimes you got to steer it a little bit from the far end. Some people seem to be better at that than others. I don't quite understand it. So now we'll go to the other side of the house. Ontario going to throw the out turn into the rings. This one's just a little bit heavy, but should be okay. Stops at the back of the 12-foot. Northern Ontario's second stone, Karen Saarimaki, will be asked to remove that. The in-turn takeout. Or an out-turn takeout. She just switched back to the in-turn. Figured it'd probably be an in-turn. Last end she actually wanted to throw the in-turn, so not surprised to see this. Asking for a little more ice. These second stones, you let them skip every now and then. It goes right to their head. But sometimes, I mentioned this morning that as a thrower, sometimes you just have a feel, and you just feel better about seeing a couple more inches or less inches of ice. And usually as a skip, if you played with anybody at all, usually you're better off letting them have that space because you'll get a much better result. Good looking shot here. And obviously she knew exactly what she wanted, what she needed, and made the shot. So great shot. Saarimaki did participate in the Canadian Travelers Championship in 2012. So a little bit of experience on the national stage for sure. Victoria Marianchuk delivering this one. It's an out-turn freeze, so Dunn trying to play maybe a little bit of a soft, aggressive game, if you want to call it that. Not quite as hard as throwing out the corner guard, but a little bit of an offensive call at least. Pretty good shot. A little bit short for the freeze, but a pretty good effort. And then Ontario look to remove that. Saarimaki will throw another in-turn takeout. This one's a little bit tight. Going to have to go a little bit. You don't want to jam this. Should be okay, but they're going to have to stay on it. Going to have to go real hard, and it's going to be really close to jamming. It's amazing how many times you see that happen. If you tried to call that shot, you'd be out there all day trying to make one, and it happens about 4 out of every 5 times sometimes, it feels like. So now that kind of worked for the Ontario team. You can see how that sort of strategy can develop a couple of points. There's a couple of ways, obviously, to go at that. You could go throw in the corner guard, or you can play the freeze, and freeze is usually a tougher way to make it happen, but worked out pretty well that time. So once again, we've got Victoria Marianchuk, who participated in the Canadian Seniors in 2010 and curls out of the East York Curling Club, playing the same shot, just a different turn on the other side of the sheet, and she looks pretty darn close again. Needs to curl a little bit, but not much. Never quite get over there, but pretty darn good. So Ontario has their two sort of set up here, but a lot of rocks to come. Interesting call here. A couple things you could do. Just going to ask for the draw. No, it's a little more aggressive than I'd probably be. I think I'd probably hit something here. Maybe try to get a little bit of a roll out. Thanks. So this one's on its way. So Northern Ontario says, okay, we're going to go. We'll go with you. On the interim freeze, indicating a little bit heavy, but that wouldn't hurt you a whole lot on this one. Gotta hold it though. It's gonna curl by, I think. Now you're in a little trouble. That's kind of the problem with that shot. I didn't really, let's come back the other way. Sort of an interesting situation, but still only ends up with number 3. Doesn't really do anything for you. Problem now for Northern Ontario is Ontario will do the same thing again, and all of a sudden you're starting to bring 3 and maybe even 4 into play. And after you just tied it up, you don't want to play yourself into anything real bad here. But we'll see. They got to make them. Carol Thompson with the in-turn freeze. Girls are sweeping it. It looks like it has lots of weight to me, but I'm way up here and never was much of a sweeper, so I could be easily wrong. They're off it now. So now it gets a little harder to get the blue ones out. That's the problem. But I think you can. You can hit that hard and get rid of a couple. Need to be able to throw a little bit hard. A little firm takeout weight here. But even if you don't, you may well sit in a pretty nice spot that could end up with 1 or 2 rocks behind you, which wouldn't be too bad. Whoop. So I don't know. I think she threw this in an effort to throw this one a little hard. I think she kind of threw it inside. Girls are going to have to go pretty hard here. I think they held it pretty good. Gets one a little unlucky not to end up getting a couple there, but a pretty good shot. Lots of backing there. Now you can play the freeze in there and make it very difficult for Ontario to remove it. So not too bad of a result. Had I been able to hold it a little bit longer, they would have maybe had a little bit better result, but pretty good. Carol Thompson played the in-turn takeout for Ontario here. Hit it right on the nose would be good for Ontario. This one's not curling enough. This one's going to have a hard time staying. Should be a big break for Northern Ontario, but we shall see. Here it goes. And they're going to have to work it hard. Got to get it out. Got to get it out if you're Northern Ontario. Great sweeping job. That's the benefit of having your second stone in the house, I guess. Saarimaki had no trouble getting that one out. And now Northern Ontario will play the hit. Skip Marion Clark. Play the double. Might jam this one, I'm not quite sure, but even if it does, you will sit 2. So it's not the end of the world. Big shot here, though. Chance to totally get out of this end when you were in quite a bit of trouble. On its way, it needs to curl a little bit. Yeah, here it comes. Disagreement on whether to sweep, that probably means it's going to be fine. Sure enough. Piece of cake, great shot, and all of a sudden Northern Ontario sits 2. It's amazing how quick this game can change. Yeah, changes pretty quick. I just looked over the other sheet. BC was, or Nova Scotia was sitting 1 and throwing, and when they're done, BC sitting 2. That's probably not the way it's supposed to work for the team throwing, but sometimes it does. Yeah. Put some rocks in play and have to play some different shots, and all kinds of magic happens. So Ann Dunn playing the freeze there. She figures there's no way she's going to blank this end now, so she might as well go ahead and try to get her 2. Kind of worked earlier. So the outturn on the way. Sweeper saying it's got enough weight. Third saying it's got enough line. So everybody will just watch this one. And it slides by. So Northern Ontario in pretty good shape here to force Ontario to 1 now. Not really a great steal opportunity, but certainly an opportunity to make it very difficult for Ontario to score more than one, and probably can't happen. So this one a little bit. Sometimes we just throw this shot and say, oh, what the heck, we just throw it over there. And there are ways to make the next shot a little bit more difficult. If you threw this just in the 8 foot, full 8 foot at the top of the house, all of a sudden it makes it a little bit harder to draw it. But either way, pretty good situation for Northern Ontario. Out-turn draw. Once again, it looks heavy, but it always looks heavy from up here. We're upstairs here at the Glooscap Curling Club. Sweepers are not doing too much to this one. Don't really want to be behind. Just make and Dunn's draw a lot easier if you are. And that's kind of where you are. Like I say, those are shots that you really need to think a little bit more about. You don't want to make the other team's shot easier. And I actually think Northern Ontario just made it. Even though they're sitting 3 instead of 2, somebody with the experience there, and Dunn's not going to be very shook up by that number. And you've just made her draw just that little bit easier. So Ontario looking to tie this one up. While she's cleaning that off, we will remind you to visit bellalliant.ca/TV1 for webcasts and TV schedules, as well as on-demand content. You can get information on live events available only to Bell Alliant Fiber Op customers in Atlantic Canada on channels 1 and 401. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with fiber op, and Dunn's got the... She can get away with a little bit extra weight here because of all the backing. Just can't overthrow it, but you can certainly get away with a little bit extra weight. Nah, I think she's going to be fine. Well, it's got to curl a little bit. And she might not stay for a shot. Pretty close here, so we'll have a look. Ontario indicating one red, I think. Well, we're pretty sure it's one red and a Northern Ontario 3-2 lead, but we'll take a break for a few minutes here just to let the teams get themselves a little nourishment and a little break, and back at it here in about 5 minutes. And we're back after the fourth end break here at the Glooscap Curling Club in the 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters Championship. We have a great game going on here between Northern Ontario and Ontario. Northern Ontario stealing one in the fourth end to take a 3-2 lead after 4 ends. Really excellent curling game so far. And we look across the sheets and we see Quebec leading New Brunswick 5-3. Well, after 3. I'm not quite sure. They haven't posted the fourth end yet, so there might be a difference in that score. But for now, it's 5-3 Quebec. And what do we have? Saskatchewan leading Manitoba 4-2. And over on sheet 4, the host team, Nova Scotia, ahead 2-1 right now. Pretty good shape here in the fourth end. We'll give you an update when that end finishes. They're a little behind over there. I don't know what the problem is, just playing a little bit slower. But our game has actually moved right along, so that's probably part of it. There hasn't been a whole lot of rocks in play, but it's been very well played. And we are started here at the fifth end. Northern Ontario throwing up a center guard. We'd want this not to be super long. Girls sweeping, trying to get it in at least that number 2 zone, if you will. You have a 1, 2, 3 zones in front of the house. Usually teams refer to that as the zones in front of the rings, and that's probably a 2 or a 1.8 or something like that. We'll call it a 2. Ontario lead. Fran Todd. Sliding with a straw broom. You don't see that much anymore. I don't even know where she found that broom. Very difficult to get your hands on one of those, so hopefully she's got a few in the basement somewhere that she can keep. She's a little heavy on this one, though. Probably going to slide through, I would imagine. And it does. Northern Ontario now going to ask lead Barb Ward to come right around it. Barb, a veteran of these Canadian championships, having played in 3 senior curling championships in 08, 09, and 11. And last 4 years, or not last 4, not last year, 3 years before, 2012, 13, and 14 in the Canadian Masters. Hard to believe you see people out here. You just figure everybody must have just turned 60 years old because everybody looks pretty good shape and throwing the rock so well. And we have a lot of people out here that are that and been in this for 6, 7, 8 years maybe, and it's pretty impressive. So this shot coming in now, and she's going to make it to the rings. Good shot. Good shot. Just a little biter here on Ontario. Moving Ontario's game into a draw game. Fran Todd now play the out-turn draw. He's just take a little weight off her last one. A little bit of a semi-tuck delivery. Fran Todd actually born in Switzerland. Probably moved here early enough to pick up curling. It's pretty nice weight on that one. Just nowhere near enough curl. I don't know if she got it out or if Anne just had a little too much ice. Ice doesn't quite have as much curl as it had earlier, or it doesn't seem to me anyways. There's a few shots that have kind of gone down. It's not making a big hook, so I would imagine they'll work on that a little bit tonight, get a little more curl in it for the rest of the event. Nothing wrong with it, and sure is to work, but it's just a little bit straighter than I think that the ice makers probably even would like it to be just now. Good looking shot here by Saarimaki. And perfect roll. Yeah, maybe almost perfect roll. Another rock would have been perfect, but that's a pretty darn good shot. Here's Saarimaki, the usual second stone, still playing second today, but calling the game because of an injury, which doesn't allow her to go up and down the sheet. Taking a little break from that part of the game. So Marianchuk going after this one. She can only see about half of it. Sweeper's on it hard, but it's going to be hard pressed to get it by. And can they sneak it past? I don't think so. So they're called off now to make sure she moved that far enough. Wise decision by Skip Ann. Dunn, because sometimes you sweep those all the way down. You just feather. You touch about a quarter of an inch. It rolls about, rock moves about 3 inches, and then you slide out and you're in big trouble. So she just got them off early enough to move that rock over to a corner guard position. The outturn shot, just be a little short guard, I would think. Rocks are in pretty good position for the Northern Ontario team here. I don't think they have to do anything too radical with this. Looks like a good shot. Stops curling. And it's going to slow down in a pretty good position. So a great shot by Karen. Having a great game, actually. Maybe she's liking this idea, not having to sweep up and down the sheet. So Ontario now will try to open this up a little bit. Things are getting a little bit messy for them, for sure. 3 Northern Ontario stones in play. 2 in the house, 1 in front. Marianchuk throwing a peel. Didn't throw it particularly well. Threw it well inside. Girl's going hard to try to hold it and make something disappear here. We'll see if she does. She does. Almost made the double as it turns out, but not the best of throws, but did get rid of something, and that's better than nothing. So Northern Ontario now will throw I'm guessing another guard. Probably try to get just to the left side of center. Yep, you see the broom position there. Saarimaki, that's a pretty good spot, I think. A little bit of discussion going on. As you would expect, when you're normally a skip and you're now in front end and you're normally a second and now you're skipping, the odds are pretty good that you're not both going to be on the exact same page all the time. But I've been pretty impressed, actually, here. This game is long without a whole lot of input from skip Marion Clark. She's basically liked the way that Saarimaki's called the game, and that's great. So we'll get an out-turn guard coming. So it just needs to get over the center line just a little bit. Anything just over the line will be perfect. Girls are going to have to get it there, I think. I don't know if they agree with me, but I think they got to go a little bit. Really need to get it over there. You're trying to stop the in-turn hit. And it gets over a little bit. Probably enough. I'm not sure. It'll depend on how Ann wants to. Can make this. It's just, if you don't make it, you could be in big trouble. So, big shot here. Real big shot for Team Ontario. The other option here would be to go out front and try to run those red ones, at least get a couple of them. Could get all 3, to be honest, but Carol Thompson, very good thrower. So obviously Ann has lots of confidence in Carol, because this is a shot that you cannot afford to miss. You have to have a lot of faith in your third here to throw this shot. And thirds have to be able to make these shots if you're going to win at this level, so no surprise to see her throwing a pretty good one here. I don't think she's going to roll far, do too much, but a good shot. Have to make Northern Ontario have to think about it here. It'll be an interesting call on this one. She's going to play the straight guard. Probably not a bad call. It's going to be hard to raise that blue one on the red, just because there's a guard out in front. You don't see here, but we will see in a couple of minutes. And you wouldn't, yeah, you can see there, to hit that blue one, to drive that blue one on the red would be easy if there was no red one in front. But with the red one in front, very difficult. So probably a wise choice here by Team Northern Ontario, just to throw another guard down there. Don't want this one to overcurl. As I said, it's just a little bit straighter here. It should be okay. I would have thought it might be going to curl at first, but looks pretty good now. Come right in. I never really know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but good shot. Perfect. Exactly where she was supposed to put it. And Ann Dunn now will ask for Carol Thompson to run that one back. Be nice if it made the double, and if it doesn't, at least get rid of that guard. Northern Ontario in pretty good shape here. Already up 3-2. Girls working hard on this one. It's probably going to be close. And it might have, yeah, a little unlucky there. Needed to actually let it curl up a hair more. Or sometimes have more power than you think they have, I think. So another guard call. This time guarding the raise, which obviously they can make since they just made it. All the scores updated after 4 here now. I'll give you those in a couple of seconds. It's a hard shot. You're throwing a guard on the other team's rock, so you don't want to throw it too hard. At the same time, you can't hog it. And if it is a little long, you have to get the line right. It looks like she's going to be okay here, maybe. Well, definitely heavy. Quite a bit heavy. Got away with it, maybe. I don't think Ontario can really do very much with it. And the run back is gone. That's one thing about it. And Dunn coming out to have a look. She maybe doesn't think that the run back is gone, so she's looking at raising the red on the blue and then on the red. She'll probably sit 2 when it's all done. Marion won't be happy with that last shot. Marion Clark certainly won't be happy with that rock being that heavy, because that was certainly T-line weight, probably, maybe even a little bit more. And trying to throw guard, you don't want to be throwing it that hard. So just while Land's coming down the ice, we will tell you that Quebec now leads New Brunswick 5-4. New Brunswick picking up 1 in the 4th. And Saskatchewan leads Manitoba 4-3, with Manitoba picking up 1 in the 4th. And Nova Scotia scored 1 in the 4th to take a 3-1 lead over BC. Looking like they might have got more than 1 for a little while, though, so probably a little bit of victory for BC as they move on to the 5th end. So our shot just about ready to come here. Not an easy shot for Fran Dunn by any means, no question, but a makeable shot. And probably far better shot than she should have been left with, to be honest. So she gets along. Needs to get to the inside of this one, I believe. I think anything on the outside is not going to be good. She's going to be real close. Really close. And makes it. Great shot. Great shot, made certainly much easier by Northern Ontario than it should have been. There was probably an opportunity there to take everything away from Ontario, but they didn't, so now they have a little bit of a dilemma. With a 3-2 lead, what do you play? My personal thought is you have to go through this left-hand side, hit the blue one, maybe even just stay right there and let Ontario try to figure out how to get in. It's not going to be easy for them to get in for a second shot. If you go after the blue one that they just bumped up there, the best you're going to do is roll out and get 2. So that doesn't help very much. You definitely don't want to give up 3. So you got to be careful. She could play the tap on the red, be super ultra aggressive. Just play a little tap up on the red, pretty much the same way you just threw, really. And if you make it, you're probably going to steal one. And she is going to play. It's a very aggressive call, but a good call. So sometimes the shots that determine if you win or lose games, depending on how much risk you're willing to take. If you make it, you're a hero, and if you don't, you're a goat. But sometimes you just got to do it. And Clark now, skipping Northern Ontario. So we say, just really not much different than the shots you just threw. But it's got to get there. I was just cleaning this a little bit. Line looks pretty good. Line looks really good. The weight's close. This is going to be good. Will it stop? And it does. A great shot. Great shot by Marion Clark. Team Northern Ontario is gettable, if that's a word. Has a chance to run the blue one on the red one with really no risk, and you're only going to give up 1 either way. You're not really in any danger of giving up more than 1. Not the world's easiest shot, but certainly makeable, and definitely makeable on the out turn. They're looking at the in turn a little bit. I think the in turn's tough, but they're going to maybe go in turn. Usually teams know this turn better than the other way, just because you don't play a whole lot of shots from the inside out, from the center line out, other than just draws to the wings. So normally you know that in turn, or the outside in shot, in this case an in turn, a little bit better, but I'll tell you, you haven't got this in turn. Got to come by that red one by not much. Maybe an inch, inch and a half, so something like that. Anything more than that, and you're not going to score. And Dunn, though, a veteran player, and going to have a look and rethinking this a little bit. Not surprised that she's going to have another look at this. She works her way down the ice. Sometimes funny, you know. Sometimes you put the broom down and it looks great, and you get to the other end, and it's like, whoa, what was I thinking? So that's what Anne's kind of done here. Going to play the exact same shot, but going to switch turns because you're going away from it, so the hole is much bigger going this way. And there's really no guards that are in play here. If you hit a guard here, you weren't going to make the shot at all. Where on the in-turn, you could just touch that outside guard and really spoil a great shot. So Anne's going to throw the out-turn across the face, as we say, so she'll try to hit the blue rock on the left side as we look at it. Just on the over curl. I'm not sure what weight she's going to throw. Potential 3 here, but more likely 2, depending on the weight. Got it on the way. Throwing it back a little bit, but certainly not a lot of weight here. I don't know that she's got enough weight, actually. Girl's going hard on it. But not on that. It's close. Real close. Can she hold it? Wow, it's a great shot. Just for one. But it's still a great shot. It was not an easy shot. A hard shot to feel real good about throwing more weight. But sure enough, Anne just threw it a little bit lighter. A little too light to get more than one, but picks up one, ties it up after 5 ends. We're 3-3 here between Ontario and Northern Ontario. As we said, we do have another draw tonight. Both clubs tonight. We have men's championship play at the Wolfville Curling Club and women's play here at the Glooscap Curling Club in Kentville. Just to give you a few more sponsors here of the event. Just run down the list quick. We're in the bronze sponsorship category. We have Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce, Kentville Toyota, Big Falls Fish Growers Limited, Cornwallis Motors, Eakin Timber Limited, Company Limited, Forbes, Kia, Nova Scotia Community College, Nova Scotia Curling Association, Party Central, Raymond James Limited, Scotian Gold Cooperative, Summit Hyundai, Tim Hortons, Valley Ford, and Kentville Chrysler Dodge Jeep. A lot of the car companies providing transport all the players around. Takes a lot of volunteers, takes a lot of community support to pull these events off. We've hosted a few of these in our day in my neck of the woods, and it does take a lot of time, commitment, money, and support to pull them off. And they've done a terrific job here in the Kent Wolfville area, New Minas as well. One thing they didn't do is get the golf courses open for everybody. Probably a couple open around, but it's been kind of cold. So real 3-3 playing 6, Northern Ontario with the hammer. Big end for Northern Ontario. Like to score in this end. If you're not going to score, you'd like to blank, but usually that doesn't happen. So you definitely want to score. If you score here, you put yourself in a good position for the last 2 ends. And Clark, once again, proving the skips can keep. I'll have to tell her that at the end of the game. She really wanted to make sure that we noticed that. And we have. So a hit and stick. Ontario going to play the same hit and stick. Ontario probably not unhappy to run this end out, actually. They wouldn't be super disappointed if Northern Ontario blanked this end. It's hard to blank 2 ends in a row. And you can go pretty aggressively in the 7th, try to steal one or force to one. This one's got a curl. Will it be enough? And it does remove it. So nothing in play here in the 6th end of our game. And Ontario just throw it in the house. Could be a little more aggressive here in Northern Ontario. You could certainly throw a corner guard up here. You wouldn't be taking a great risk. Ontario might come around it, but that's fine. As I said, scoring here is So as long as you keep 1 point available, it's not a bad thing to take just a little bit of risk. So in an effort to get 2, because if you ever get 2 here, then you're in super shape going into 7 and 8. Play 7, give up 2, and have hammer tied up coming home. Can't beat that. Everybody's sweeping this one, and it does make it into the rings. Turn takeout now for Ontario. And Dunn asking second stone, Victoria Marianchuk, to throw this one. That's a better release. Victoria, that one much nicer. She's had a couple today that she just hasn't been able to get out of her hand the way she'd like to get them out of her hand, and as a result just had a couple of misses. But this one looked really, really good. And sure enough, it does. So really nice throw there. It was nice to come back and throw good stones after you've had maybe a bad one the end before. Second stone. Karen Saarimaki with the stick. Just really has been a machine in this game. Has really made pretty much everything. Played a great game. And a nice shot there. It's on the ring, so Ontario will be forced to hit it. Marianchuk has it on its way. And gets enough. Didn't get a lot of it, but did get enough. Removes it from play. So Northern Ontario is still here, just going to draw the open side. Nothing wrong with that strategy. Yet, sometimes later on you look back and say, well, you know what? Maybe we should have done this or done that. But that's what makes the game fun. We do that all the time in curling, after curling games, after curling events, and all kinds of times we go back and we say, well, why didn't we do this? Or we should have done that. Usually that's after you miss or after you lose. Both those situations usually cause a lot of discussion. Good shot there. Saarimaki making everything, as I said, throws a draw. So the in-turn takeout being called now for Carol Thompson. Just an open hit. Shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Sweeper's on it early. Notice you can certainly make a big difference with the broom on this side of the sheet at least, where you can actually straighten them up pretty good. This one's maybe a little bit. No, perfect. Perfect. Nova Scotia with a big steal or two in the fifth end on sheet 4. Take a 5-0 lead or 5-1 lead over there against BC. BC skipped Karen Lapine trying a kind of an in-off shot the last end. I don't know. I think Nova Scotia was only sitting 1 before she threw it. And she tried a very difficult shot, but down 3-1, I guess she felt that was. So I don't know if she could have got one any other way, but ended up giving up 2 at the end of it. So Nova Scotia's Mark Cutcliffe, 5-1 lead after 5 ends of play. Long way to go in this championship, though. This is just the first game of the championship pool. You don't want to really give any games away, but at the same time, you still don't have to panic. There is a little bit of time. And nobody's very far apart as far as the pack goes. Good shot there. Everybody's making everything this end, so not a whole lot to tell you about. Carol Thompson with this one on its way. Curls out of the Richmond Hill Curling Club. As we mentioned, all these 4 ladies all play in a different club. So kind of interesting. I haven't had a chance to talk to them. I'm not sure if this is I know Ann had some pretty successful senior teams over the years. I don't know if this was the same group or some different girls, but chances are maybe some of them are the same. You wouldn't normally have a team composed of 4 people from all different clubs unless you had a history and you knew people very well over a bunch of years. So, open house for Northern Ontario. Just throw it in, make 2 takeouts, blank this in, and move to the 7th. That's sort of the plan. Skip Bev Junnila indicating that's probably a little heavy. Sweepers following it down kind of barely, so it probably is heavy. And sure enough, we'll slide out the back. And Dunn giving a little dusting. Just make sure it doesn't grab any big chunks of anything. Not too much Ontario can do at this point other than just throw it in and let Northern Ontario hit it. Played that sort of an end, so that's basically what you're going to end up with when you take that approach. But not a bad approach for this end. I think your next end, if they are able to blank this end, I think you'll see a completely different 7th end than you're seeing here in the 6th end. Skip Dunn has it on its way. In-turn draw, just trying to throw it over in the wings in the 12-foot. See if she can find a spot that Skip Marion Clark from Northern Ontario might have a hard time with. It's great judgment. Seen a lot of that this week. They're very good judgment on the front ends. Great sweeping as well, but certainly good judgment. And a perfect shot. Just trying to freeze over to that blue one. Didn't quite get over there, but there's not a whole heck of a lot of room to work trying to draw over to that one, so that's pretty good. And Clark have to be a little careful here, but I don't think she can actually jam that and leave it, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. Actually, if she can make a little hit and stay just a little bit, a tiny outside and on top of the other blue one, she still might actually have a chance of getting a couple here. She's going to get it, and she does. And Dunn working it, trying to get it out. If she can get it out, she can play that same shot if she likes, and she does. Good sweep job. Skip and Dunn. Must have a new fresh broom there. This group's not quite as affected by the broom controversies as other groups. You see very few people here even do directional sweeping, although I will say I haven't actually seen a lot of the men's games yet, so it's only my 3rd game so far. I haven't seen a lot of that, but there might be a little more when we get to the men's play this evening in the championship round at the Wolfville Curling Club. So you can see Carol Thompson holding the broom a little bit further to the right than it was the last time. Trying to take advantage of the one rock in play here and make the removal difficult for Northern Ontario. You never know. You might even pick up a steal of one here. Good looking slide. On its way, girls on it early this time. Not sure about this one. Carol Thompson going out to help out. Don't think she's going to get this one there. No, she doesn't. The perfect line. Combine the two of them and you had a perfect shot. But fortunately for Northern Ontario, they have just an open house to throw this one through. Not do anything too difficult. And we'll see what happens in the 7th then. Well, Marion Clark just will throw this probably through board weight, something like that. Just something that's there's no chance of it stopping or slowing down. And sweepers may or may not clean it, or they just may watch it. And lots of weight, no problem. So after 6 ends, we have a 3-3 tie here in the women's championship pool play. The Canadian The 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters. Great curling game. It's been a lot of fun, and it's a good game to watch. All the games across the board here are great. Really close. Remind everybody while we have a second to be sure to join Bell Alliant TV1's own Scott Squires as he chats with Cyril Lunny each Monday at 8:40 a.m. on the Sideline Scoop. Get up-to-date information on Bell Alliance TV1's local sports coverage with Scott and Cyril. That's the Sideline Scoop, Mondays at 8:40 on CTV Morning Live Atlantic. So be sure to take that in. As I mentioned this morning, Scott Squires called 21 games last week. Seniors in Digby, a busy man. So Ontario now, I think, has to be a little more aggressive. I think they have to be willing to put some rocks in play, try to steal one, or force Northern Ontario to one. That would be the plan here. Skip and Dunn asks Fran Todd to throw guard. Fran has no problem, makes it perfect, and the game is on a little bit. So across the board, we have Quebec with another two-ender. Quebec scoring in bunches all the time, leading New Brunswick with a count of 7-4. Saskatchewan with one in the fifth, leading 5-3 in their game over Manitoba. And on sheet 4, Nova Scotia with the steal last end, as we mentioned, up 5-1, playing 6. And 3-3 tie in our game. Not a lot of steals. Skips are such good players here that they're not going to miss too many of those last shots. Northern Ontario lead. Barb Ward almost sneaks that one by. Sweepers worked pretty hard, just couldn't quite get it by that guard. So Ontario now will be playing the outturn come around. Ontario really wants to get some rocks in play here, make this very difficult for Northern Ontario to blank, and preferably not to give score more than one, but on one spot either way, one Ontario point or one Northern Ontario would probably be a success for Ontario. Not so much for Northern Ontario. Not disaster for Northern Ontario, but certainly not what they'd like to do here. If they're going to score here, they'd like to score 2 points and go up a couple playing that last end. Game we did this morning had Yukon leading by 3. They stole 3 in the 7th end to go up. They almost gave it up in the last end. They were at a draw for 3 to tie. Didn't quite make it. So lots of rocks here in play, more I'm sure than what Northern Ontario would like to see, but you don't have much choice. You got to use them, make it work. Northern Ontario going to play a little bit of a draw here, a little draw tap shot. Everybody waving it's heavy, so that's probably not good. Although the line looks pretty good to me. Curls just a little bit more. Well, they're going to use a little directional sweeping here, or try to. And will she make it? Gets it on. It's pretty good. Anywhere on's good. Not quite. Not a bad effort. And we'll ask her second stone now. Victoria Marianchuk to play the outturn come around. Great setup for Ontario here. There's all kinds of rocks in front. They're staggered all over the place, so if you can make one here, get one in behind top of the button, top of the forefoot, it's going to be very difficult for Northern Ontario to remove it in at least 2 shots. This looks great. Girls going hard. Can you get it by the second one? And just a hair light. That's a pretty good curling stone just the same. It's in a pretty good spot. If that had been 4 feet heavier, wow, it would have been a very, very difficult situation for Northern Ontario. As it is, they are looking to open it up a little bit. No surprise there. So the plan here would be to remove it, probably more than one rock. One does for you. Not a whole lot, but it would do something. And the nice thing here, when you're throwing with the stick, everybody that throws with a stick can throw it hard. Doesn't matter who you are, you can throw it down there with a ton of weight, and that's what they need here, and that's what they've got. And Karen Saarimaki has a nice shot there. Actually curled probably a little bit too much. Going to be a little difficult to remove the blue one, but almost a great shot. I'll tell you what, when you do throw with the stick and you can throw it hard, as I say, most people can, then you have an opportunity to move a lot of rocks. You still have to get it online. It's not a gimme, no question about it, but if you can make great things happen. Some traditional curlers don't like that part of the stick curling world. Figure it's just a little bit almost unfair for curlers to be able to throw it that hard when maybe they couldn't their whole career, but that's life. Just say make it work. Make some shots. Don't leave them those shots and you're good. So the intern come around for Ontario, coming up a little short. Still not a bad position. Good rock for Ontario to be able to use later, but in the short term, not a great shot. So another nice opportunity here. You can actually run this red one back, get rid of the blue one directly, or you could run the red on the red and get rid of the blue one. Maybe roll a rock into the house somewhere. Lots of opportunities here. You just got to make a couple of rocks go away. So skip Marion Clark out to talk to second stone Saarimaki. Karen Saarimaki. When I say Saarimaki, I don't mean Sarah Mackey. Just had to figure out how to spell her name, find out how to say it, so that's how I wrote it down, because that's how they pronounce it. So the outturn hit here, this could be just a straight peel. There's nothing wrong with that either, especially if you could hit maybe a third of a rock and remove the other blue one. But she's got it online. Got a chance here to maybe remove the blue one. Really close. Oh, actually might have overswept it a little bit. But a good shot. Karen not super happy with the end result, but it's hard there. The ice there definitely backs around. I better not say backs up, because it might not back up, but it definitely straightens up with the sweeping, and not always the easiest thing to call. So Ontario with a chance to play the intern come around. You can tell by that ice where she's really only taking about 3 feet ice to play this come around, and that's not anywhere near as much as we would have been taking earlier in the event, if you will. Good news for Northern Ontario, they do have a rock in the front that they can use to run back or tap up, whatever they have to do with it. And we've already seen skip Marion Clark make a great shot in that type of shot, a couple hands back. So the draw coming in here, the girls working hard on it. Got to keep going. Like to put this one right in the full 8-foot if they could. But a nice sweeping job. Nice shot for Carol Thompson. And Ontario has managed Northern Ontario in some trouble. Northern Ontario with the hammer in a 3-3 tie. Having to ponder this one a little bit because there are a couple of options here, and got to think about it a little bit. So I think they're going to call the straight peel just for the high one. Nothing wrong with that call either. To go hard, make sure you make this, and make sure you lose that shooter. It's not going to happen. It seems like that's one shot that this group doesn't maybe have quite as well as some other groups. That peel is just a little bit more of a challenge, just because they just don't throw it as hard at the end of the day, and it's what happens. And throw a really good shot, but it just curls up a little tiny bit too much and ends up with a pretty much a nose hit. Northern Ontario in trouble, for sure. Ontario going to have a chat. Probably not a lot of different options here. You could play the intern freeze that Dunn is indicating there for sure. splash tap, all kind of the same shot. You could throw a straight guard, which wouldn't be a horrible call either. You could even almost go out and tap your other blue one up a little bit on the right-hand side of the sheet as we look at it. And if you made that, that's a pretty good shot. The red one is the one at the top of the 12-foot on the right-hand side is the one that might pose some trouble for Team Ontario, because that rock is there to be used for sure by Northern Ontario. But they can't do everything. They can't protect everything and everything else. So throw this one in, make a little tap, and that'll be good. Girls sweeping hard again. Seems like we've been saying that a lot today. Going to be close. Going to be a little short, but not bad. No, pretty darn good shot. See, now it sort of takes a little bit of that angle raise away too, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Northern Ontario play that shot right now. Not a lot of room here. But no, they're going to go after this one. If you can hit what you can see, you might make the double. If you're somebody that can throw it hard enough. Just not totally sure that Bev can throw it hard enough for that shot. You can see on here, she's going to be on the guard for sure. Just a matter of what happens after that. Does get rid of it though. Certainly better than it was. I don't know if you were going to get much out of that. I think that if she'd hit that, she would have removed one stone, but she still would have left one and maybe the other one on the top of the house on the right-hand side. So it was a tough situation for Northern Ontario for sure. So 4 rocks to come, 2 apiece. And Dunn indicating the ice. I'm just not quite sure of the call yet. I think it's going to be probably a straight. I think. I don't know that you're going to try to bump this too awful much. Got to be a little careful. You don't want to bump this in an angle and open up your shot rock, which is right now is certainly posing a big problem for. In a little bit of trouble on sheet 4. You do have the hammer up 5-2, so pretty darn good shape, but there are a couple of BC rocks hanging out. So man Dunn playing the intern here, and I'm not quite sure. Judging by the sweeping, I'm thinking she was playing a little bump. Doesn't make the bump, but it's just getting a little uglier and uglier for Northern Ontario. I think now you're probably going to have to tap that red one. Not too much else to play, to be honest. There's going to be really hard pressed to make any kind of takeout that's going to put you in very good shape. Unless you can throw it a million miles an hour, and even then I'm not so sure that's going to help. So they're having a look. They're talking about the hit, talking about a lot of different options. I really think the only option is to tap the red one up. But they don't agree. They're going to play a hit, and we'll see what happens. I'm just a little, if I was Northern Ontario, I'd be a little nervous of playing a takeout and all of a sudden rolling a blue one in the way of my raise, which could very easily happen. Because right now the raise is there. You can bump that thing right to the 4-foot. Actually, you're in a pretty good position to score 2, believe it or not, if you lay the raise and make it. I'm not sure how you get the second one in, but certainly have an opportunity to score 2. It's a bit of a do or die shot, I agree, but I think that given what else you have to play, it's time to play it. I would be playing it. And if I was coaching, I'd be telling my team that they should be playing it. So we'll see what she does. I think they're still playing the double on the blue ones on the left side of the sheet here. Maybe. She might also actually hit the red. If you hit the red one on really low, just about where the broom is, you may well spill it off the other one, get in for at least number 2. Number 2 right now wouldn't be bad. Matter of fact, you'd probably pay big money for number 2 right now. It's on its way. Skip Marion Clark. The out-turn delivery. Not going to hit her own, that's for sure. Will she get rid of 1 or 2? She really needs to get more than 1 out of this, and she does. That's about the best she was going to get. That was the problem with that shot, just the fact that that was the best you were going to get. So now, instead of Ontario sitting 3, they sit 2. Really any better off than you were a minute ago, other than you have an extra rock to work with, so maybe that's a good thing. Ontario, I'm pretty sure, will play this straight come around here. Tap the blue one up a little bit, maybe. Would be good. Only thing you don't want to do here, you don't want to tap it and roll to the open. Make it easier for the Northern Ontario team to at least hold you to 1 point when it looks like you might have an opportunity to steal a couple. Very tight game here. 3-3 tie as we play a 7th.
Timeout on 4.
Skip and Dunn has it on the way. This one over, I think, but maybe not. Girls are holding it. Yeah, I think she's going to maybe sneak it by. Will it get by that? Oh, and it rubs a little bit, but not enough to really hurt it. Will it stay or go out? And it stays. So now Ontario sits 3. Northern Ontario with 1 rock to come and a big, big, big decision to make. Do you go hard to get shot rock here? Or do you play some sort of shot that holds them to 1? I'd be very, very careful about trying to get shot rock. It's not an easy shot. It'd be different if it was a real nice, easy shot, but it's easy. And if you try too hard to get shot, you just might give up 3. I really like the idea of just giving up 1 myself. But they're going to go for it. More power to them, but tough shot. 3-3 game, I don't know. I just don't know. I might be playing the in-turn draw down there and just try to catch the side of the 4-foot, and if I miss the 4-foot, hold them to 1. Calling for a hack, wait. No, well, hack or back line, I'm not sure which. I like hack. If you throw it, back line, you should stay here for number 2 at the very least. If you throw hack and you don't hit it, you're not staying. So they're going to talk about it. It's a good idea, I think, to have a chat on this one. You need to make sure that everybody knows exactly what you're playing. Whatever it is, make sure they know what you're playing. And make sure you understand the scoreboard here. You really do need to play the scoreboard on this situation. Not let your confidence kind of take over too much here and play a shot that's difficult. So a lot of ice. A fair bit of ice, but I say, if you throw this with back line, I like it. If you throw with anything more than back line, I don't so much like it. I really think you have to make sure here that if you don't score, only score 1. We'll find out in a minute. More like probably 25 seconds. It's on sway. Marion Clark, out turn. Just a little bit of weight. Needs to curl. Needs to curl really hard. Trying to kill. This is going to be Very fortunate. It's what that's going to be. That's absolutely huge break for Northern Ontario. Played the shot, played the raised takeout, and never really got to the stone. Threw it probably harder than what they talked about. And man, jamming on the back one right on the nose. At the very least there, they probably should have given up 2 minimum, and maybe 3. But they actually ended up with a situation that I think is pretty darn good. They gave up 1. Ontario jumps up to a 4-3 lead with Northern Ontario having Hammer coming home. So they can't be too unhappy. Northern Ontario or Ontario. Ontario should be happy. They did manage to steal 1 there. A little disappointed it wasn't more, but you shouldn't really expect to steal more than 1 in an end, that's for sure. So we have a squeaker here as we come to the 8th end, a 4-3 game. Northern Ontario with Hammer, trailing by 1. Well played in by Ontario there. I think not a terribly bad end for Northern Ontario. I just think the shot selection on the last one was a little bit questionable. But that's me. I could easily be wrong as well. Nobody else in the 8th end yet. Everybody's just finishing up the 7th, so we'll bring you up to date once we get everybody through the 7th end. In the meantime, Ontario will throw up the guard. This is always an interesting situation when you don't have Hammer in the last end. Up 1, how do you play it? Really, I think you'd have to just go right. Okay, we're going to play it to steal. It's very, very difficult to play to force a team to 1 or to try to run out and in. Ideally, with that shot, you'd like it either longer or shorter. It's kind of in the middle. Makes it a little bit tough to throw your second guard. Northern Ontario lead Barb Ward. Barbara Ward has this one coming down, throwing a corner guard on the outturn side. Like to end up right on the Glooscap curling logo probably, but they're going to sweep it a little further. Not totally sure why, but it's good. It's a good shot. Actually, with the ice not curling quite as much in this game, you need to leave those guards just a little bit higher than you probably have had to do the whole week so far, or the last couple of days. It's only been 3 days, I think, that the event's been running, so. Ontario throwing another guard. Trying to be a little bit short of this one. It's really hard rock to throw that. Their first guard, as good as it was, just ended up in a place that made the second one really difficult to throw. But they do have 2 out front. They do have a 1-point lead, so Northern Ontario will have to figure out what they're going to come around the center guards. Lead Barbara Ward, nice slide there, and good release, and looks like pretty good weight. If they can get the curl, could end up with a pretty good shot here. It's not curling quite enough. Maybe a tiny little bit heavy. Yeah, just a little too much weight, but probably a little too much ice too. I think that you can cut the ice up down a little bit now, because I think you can hold it. Certainly on that side you can hold it pretty well, as long as the person's pretty close to the broom. So Ontario's going to try to get in there first. Play the in-turn come around the staggered guards. So the girls working hard on this. They're going to have to go hard. This one is really hooking in here. I don't know if Marianchuk just have a little different release. She does let it go fairly early. Or rock the curls, or if it just maybe just found a spot to curl, but it did definitely curl too far. Just ended up putting another guard out in the same place. Probably can get rid of them all if you can throw it hard. And We know that Karen Saarimaki, throwing second stone, can certainly throw it hard. So I think there's an opportunity here to get rid of them all. I'm not quite sure if they're looking at it on the right side. You have to hit it on the left side as we look at it to be able to get rid of them all. I think that's what they decided at the end. Hit a half a rock on the high side, the side by the broom, and they should all go. Huge turnaround in the Nova Scotia game against BC, where BC just stole 3 in the 7th end to tie that game up 5. Allowing me to just be a little louder now. The game on sheet 1 with New Brunswick just stole 2 as well, so 7th end proving difficult for teams with the lead here. New Brunswick tied up in their game with 7-7 playing the last end. So a couple of big steals to tie games up out here. Saarimaki threw this one a little too thin, I think. She was only probably an inch away from getting rid of all of those stones. Instead, she gets rid of one and moves one off the center line. That's not bad. But Ontario has a chance to dip around here. Keep in mind here, Northern Ontario does need 2 to win this game. So one's valuable, but 2 is way more valuable. You got to sort of an end that gives you that opportunity. Marianchuk. The out turn come around. Girls, a lot of sweepers have been busy in this game. Both teams have great sweeping. This one's coming in really nicely. If they can take it far enough. Just slowed down a little bit on them, but a good shot. In a good location. Northern Ontario was shot rock at the back. I don't know that you want to totally give that one away. Be a little careful here, because as soon as you rip this guard off, you're going to open up your back one. And right now you have sort of have a tie game, but tie game, this is definitely the call. Down 1, maybe not. Calling the sweeping on. The problem is sweepers having a hard time catching up to it, but there they go. Gonna be a nose hit. Gonna leave the guard. Get rid of that rock. Kept the guard on the back one. All things considered, not much changed after that shot. Ontario still with a chance to come around. The only difference now for Northern Ontario, it is the rock in the front, which does help. I'd rather it be mine than be the competition's. It's a long way out for a raise, but it is makeable. Everything's makeable if they're your rocks. Carol Thompson playing the out-turn draw. Looks a little bit warm. But we have noticed slow down a little bit when they come to the center, so see what happens here. Sweeper going hard, one sweeper. Being joined now by Marion Clark of Northern Ontario. Good news for Northern Ontario, they have a chance to sit 2 here. Maybe in heaven behind the guards. Bad news is everything behind the tee line. Lots of guards out there. Ontario with ample opportunities to take this end away. But you can't do something about everything. You have to just kind of play what's there. The 7th end, I can't imagine those guys aren't getting in a little trouble for clocks. But we can't see the clock, so we won't worry about it. So the out turn now. For Bev Junnila. This looks pretty good, I think. Well, this is not too heavy. And pretty nicely. Getting the high side sweeper on, try to make it curl a little bit more. Pretty successful. Moves the blue stone, and Northern Ontario sits 2. They need 2 to win, so they have them right now, but 3 rock. Carol Thompson has it on its way. Sweepers are just kind of coming with it. I think the weight looks pretty good this time. I don't think Carol's going to be heavy twice. It's going pretty hard. Looks pretty good. Wow, great shot. What a terrific shot by Carol Thompson. Holy cow. Now you have a problem in Northern Ontario. It's going to take 2 shots to move it. I don't really like the idea of peeling here. I think you peel it, still takes you 2 more shots to move that rock. I think you have to come around and just bump that back a little bit. Just be on an angle here. And I think if I'm in Ontario, I'm not disappointed to see you play this shot because I really think it's going to take 2 shots to move the other one. So I think now, if you're Northern Ontario, you're playing for a tie. Just going to get rid of it. So, successful shot. That's what was called. And Skip and Dunn calls a guard. And I think Northern Ontario's in big trouble. And does that same thing every time, a little bit of a routine. Goes to the top of the house, and brings her leg up, takes her dripper off, and slides down the sheet. Same place. She doesn't do it anywhere else on the center line. Kind of interesting. So Ontario's got to be feeling pretty good here. I don't know that if you make this guard that there's any way that Northern Ontario is going to be able to score here, even with 2 shots. So I finally finished that end on sheet 2. We'll update you there in a second. And Dunn's got the guard coming. Probably looking to put this right on the Bella Lion logo would be a great spot. Can't do here is be heavy. If you do put this, watch this rock, guys. Yeah, we're sorry about that, but we had a rock sliding over from the other sheet. Had a potential little disaster on our way, but didn't affect everybody here. And a perfect guard by Ann Dunn. Probably needed to curl a hair more, but so not quite perfect, but good. Does give Northern Ontario maybe a little tiny bit of an opportunity here. I don't know that she can throw it hard enough to blast that thing out, but she can certainly move things around on this one. I don't know the blue one's going to go very far. The other option here is to just come down and tap it a little bit. Just set yours on a tiny little bit of an angle and hope that you have an opportunity to use it on the next shot, which I think would be a better option. Throw it hard, hit 3/4 of it, sit number 2 and number 3, and then, again, hope that somehow you have a way to get the shot rock out. No matter how you cut it here, Northern Ontario is going to have to get a break here to have an opportunity to make a shot on our last one. Skip Marion Clark, first rock here in the 8th and final end, or potentially final end. Regulation play, I guess, if we were a hockey game. And here it comes. There's no shortage of weight, so she's going to take the blast approach. Certainly going to get it. I think you need to hit it maybe a little thinner. Where are we going to go? Well, you know what? Not bad. Unlucky. Spun back. So, Northern Ontario with number 2 and number 3. So Skip Dunn's now trying to think a little bit harder about what to do with this one. Because now Northern Ontario does have a chance. It might be very slim after this shot, but they do have a chance. That was a good shot by Skip Clark. There was not much else she could do, and called that shot and made it. Did free up the one on the button. But you can see what we talked about. We knew it was going to take 2 shots to free that up. That's why I really don't think on the 3rd, 2nd stone that you had the luxury of getting rid of the guard. But anyway, who knows? Might work here yet. She's got a little off her own over here. The red one on the top right. You hit it thin enough, you come off it. Score 3 if this rock stops short. Dan puts this into the 8-foot somewhere, full 8-foot behind the guard. You're probably in dire straits. You're probably going to make that off for 1, but you do have a possibility. Whereas a minute ago you had a possibility, so we'll see what happens. So Ontario now delivering their final stone of this 8th end. Playing some kind of a come around maybe guard. I'm not sure where they actually wanted this. I think it looks to me like it was just a straight guard because nobody's really trying to sweep it. Well, it does what they wanted, but I think you have a chance. Now if you're Northern Ontario, you have a chance to do maybe a couple options here. You can actually, well, they're going to look at hitting outside. I think that's really hard. I think I would probably play to hit it really, really thin versus this shot. This shot's just really tough to call. But anyway, either one's going to be super difficult. So you can play the slash in here, hitting it on the outside and driving it towards the blue stone. Or you can play off by hitting it thin on the inside and go towards the blue stone. And you probably could play the double off the blues, actually, which might be the easiest of all the shots, even though it looks super hard. But if there's a port there, yeah, I don't think it'll curl hard enough on the outturn to come around and score more than 1, but it might curl hard enough to get 1 for sure. But anyway, they've decided. They like the look of the slash. This is hard because you almost have to miss it. Earlier in the competition, I think that outturn come around was there maybe even for 2, but ice is just that little bit straighter today. So Marion Clark with a chance to win the game for Northern Ontario with a difficult shot, but a makeable shot. So New Brunswick stole 2 in the last end of the game over there with Quebec to win that one. And Manitoba, they finally finished the 7th end beside us, and Manitoba's tied the game up 5-5, playing 8. And Marion's got this one on the way. Like to see her make contact, like to see this one have a chance, and will it come up enough? Looking at a plan B, coming off the outside one. Maybe, we'll see. Whoa. Well, nice try, a really difficult shot. Ontario ends up stealing one here in the 8th end, and a 5-3 victory for Ontario over Northern Ontario. Good game. Pleasure bringing it to you here at the Glooscap Curling Club. My name's Jim Nix. We'll sign off for now. We'll be back with you at 7 o'clock tonight from the Glooscap Curling Club. Or not from Glooscap, actually from Wolfville with the men's championship round. Bye for now.